Are you tracking your spending monthly and your net worth? What's up, everybody? Chris Lee, Everyday Finance 101, coming at you with a video today on putting in our May spending, what that looks like for our budget, and also putting in our net worth, updating that, and showing you the process for that. Hopefully it's helpful for you just to be transparent. Let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to start with today is looking at what my May entering for spending is. I've already gone over this whole worksheet that I use in a different video, but now I'm just kind of giving you an update on how we actually do it in real time. So if you haven't seen that other video, first thing I want to show you is just what we use is this spending tracker app. This is where I put all of my expenses. It's literally this brown wallet app right here, and it's very simplistic and it's free to use. I know there's a lot of cool paid for stuff out there. I just like this one because that is how I control every single category. The paid for ones, they kind of like auto populate certain categories, and you're gonna see on my budget that I'm pretty detailed in what we use. And so that is why I just like to use the spending tracker app, okay? Again, preference, you like those other ones, cool. If you're watching a video like this or tracking your spending in general, that's awesome in the first place. So if you haven't watched the other video, basically how my budget sheet works is over here I kind of have every single category that might change throughout the month. And so I'm not going to circle all of it because I got to scroll down here in a second. But these are all the categories for my wife and I that can change. And so I record them every single month. So my wife's stuff is in blue, our together stuff is in purple, and then my stuff is in green over here, okay? And so you can see that we start our budget in September. That's because we're both teachers, and so that's when we get our pay raises. And so that's kind of when I start our budget. So you're gonna see September's done, October, November, December, and we're gonna go all the way over to what last month was, which is May, okay? So in May, I enter in all of our expenses from that spending tracker app, and then I highlight it red in this monthly column if we went over in that category. The year-to-date column then just shows overall, are we positive, are we negative, what's going on year-to-date, okay? So for example here, I had a couple of red ones in May. So we went over on our home decor budget's usually $100 a month. We went over, but you can see year to date, we are still positive 175, so we're fine. Household items, this is 150 a month for us. This is like paper towel, toilet paper, cleaning supplies, light bulb for the house, random crap like that. You can see we are negative 72 on the year for that. And so maybe next year I'll have to adjust that a couple bucks per month. Scrolling down here, I have cosmetics for myself. Let me just clear that and scroll so you can see it a little better. So I went, usually I only get $25 a month in cosmetics. And so I went over, but again, negative 26 on the year, so not too bad. And then same thing, my miscellaneous budget went over, but I'm positive 40 on the year, so I'm okay. So every single month, I enter in from my spending tracker app all of these different categories, and then I kind of have a year-to-date column which shows, hey, how are we doing year-to-date? Now we're getting pretty close to the end of my calendar year budget here. We have 3 months left, and so at the end, I will then adjust based on what the whole year brought. Some people like to do monthly budgets. I like to just do a whole year and get good averages because then I'm not constantly changing stuff. I'm just getting averages throughout the entire year, and it's worked really well for my wife and I. So that is how our May kind of spending input looks for our budget, and you can kind of see the categories we were red in, and then everything else that we're positive in. Okay, so every single month I am tracking my spending in the spending tracker app, and then I am inputting it into this spreadsheet so that at the end of the year I can see, are we positive, are we negative, and then where to adjust. Okay, now the one thing that I want you to note is this is only stuff that changes throughout the month. So think of things like car insurance or your mortgage payment. If it doesn't change, if it's a fixed amount, I just keep that on a different sheet with everything to show like, hey, these payments, I don't need to record those every month because they're not changing. All right. The other thing that I want to show you is if you don't know in general what net worth is, so we can exit out of this and we can go right here. So what is net worth? So your net worth is basically everything that you own minus any debt that you have. So assets minus liabilities, okay? So if you have a house, you take the house value minus whatever your mortgage is. That is your net worth of that house. You got your checking accounts minus any whatever student loans, car loans, things like that. The reason you should be tracking it is because if you're not tracking it, then you really don't know what's going on as far as your financial progress. And so that is really a good key metric to have in general. You're going to see in a second here, we track ours year over year, but I still update it monthly because I like to see what's going on. So then I want to show you the template we use for that. So this is my template here, and so you can see that's as of May 31st, 2025, because that is when I last updated it. But the other thing that I want you to note here, I'm gonna have to like move this to show you appropriately. So down here, I have it as of June 30th, 2025, and then June 30th, 2024, 2023, 2022. So I keep history records of year over year, but I update monthly. Okay, so you're gonna kind of see, I'll show you my current net worth, and then I'll show you the progression that we've had so that you can kind of see what our history has been, and just like in general, how to get a better idea of where or why we are progressively tracking it. Okay, so I'm just gonna explain kind of what's in here, and then I'll show you the past ones, and hopefully that'll make sense for you. So the first thing here that we have, Fidelity IRA rollover. This is a 401k account that used to be with my first public accounting employer that I have now rolled over into Fidelity. Okay, so that's got about 11 grand in it. The next one that I want to look at here is Tess. My wife has a Roth through Fidelity, and so this one has about $5,500 in it. We don't max hers out because we don't need to for our goals. And people are going to tell me, oh, max out Roth no matter what. You need to save how much money are for your goals. And so we are fine without maxing hers out to reach our goals. And that's kind of where you should be leaning towards, because you don't want to save everything for retirement and not enjoy now. You need to mix those two together. Okay. The next one is my Roth IRA. I started mine earlier than Tess, which is fine. And so we have about $67,000 in my Roth IRA. Then we have through work, we have a 457 and a 401k account. And so mine is through, well, both of ours, because we're teachers, it's through Voya. So you can see that my 457 and 401k have these amounts right here, 31 grand and about 55 grand in them each. And then Tess's have a lot less in them, even though she's taught more than me for 1 year, because she also gets a pension. And so that's why hers are a little bit less. So she has 23,000 and 17,000 in each of her Voya accounts. Okay. Then I have this like little Fidelity extra account. And so basically what this is like extra money that I haven't really assigned anywhere. And so we got about $2,600 in there. Our checking account, I could update this. We keep our checking account at about 10 grand. But again, that's paying bills and things like that. So it fluctuates probably from like 8 to 12 grand. And so just for a conservative estimate, I just say, hey, we got $4,500 in there. And I might adjust that at the end of the year, but that's just what I have in there now. Our emergency fund, we keep this in a high yield savings account that has about $16,000 in it at the end of May. We're actively putting some money in there, but we have a lot of different buckets, and that sufficiently covers kind of what we need. So, not a hurried amount to be putting back in there. We then have a Great Lake Fund. I live in Michigan. Eventually, we want a house on a Great Lake. And so it's just a traditional brokerage account through Fidelity, but it's got about $8,500 in there. Then we have something called a slush fund. My design for this, it's got about 32 grand in it, is just like, I want to get it big enough that it can take care of house repairs or like random crap, kind of like a pseudo emergency fund, but I just want to get it big enough where the interest that it earns kicks off enough money for like whatever repairs or things, improvements we want to do. So that's got about 32 grand in it. Then we have an HSA that's required to have $2,000 in cash, and then we have invested amount of $4,400. So it's about $6,400 of HSA dollars. Then Tess and I have 2 cars, and so her car, her 2017 Ford Escape, is paid off, so it's worth about $4,000. I update them with Kelley Blue Book values every single month, and then I just use the trade-in value, which is pretty much the cheapest value you can get. And so that's how I update the prices there. Those go down in value. Cars go down in value. I know that, but they are still an asset because I can sell that car right now and get money for it. Then we have my car, which is the 2022 Ford Edge. We do have a loan on this, which you'll see in a second, but Kelley Blue Book's value is about $20,000 on that one, okay? And then our final asset here is our house. And so how I do our house is you're gonna kind of see some stuff here actually that might help you out. So we got our house appraised about 4 years ago now when we bought it, and it was worth $472. But I only have it at $488 as far as our net worth statement. And even though when you go on Zillow, our house is worth $560. So you're probably like, Chris, like you're missing out on about what, $70,000 of net worth? Not really, because you're gonna see here in a second, I got some assumptions. So even though Zillow thinks my house is worth $560, they don't know that we redid our kitchen. And so I assume, based off of pretty good research and facts, that we could sell our house for about $600,000 today, okay? Now, when you sell a house, you don't get to keep all the money, right? You gotta pay your realtors, you gotta pay closing costs on the new house if you're gonna get a new house, and all these different title transfers, things like that. So I'm assuming that, okay, $600,000 sale minus $36,000, and that can be for some realtor fees. Then I have some different fees of $5,000 and $4,000 when we purchase a new house, plus some other expenses with that. So I kind of like bundle it all together to say, hey, if we were to sell our house today, after all the fees and all that crap, how much money would we actually take away? It would be about $516,000. Now, I still record our house a little bit lower because I record our house at what we paid for it plus any improvements we've made. So we paid $415,000 for our house, and then the amount of money that gets us to $488 is improvements we've made to the house. So kitchen, random improvements just around in general. And so in my head, right, we could clear $516,000 after everything if we sold the house. I'm only recording it at $488 net worth. That gives me about $26,000, $28,000 of wiggle room. Cool, conservative. You don't want to be overzealous with how much your house is worth. That is how we do our assets. So if Tess and I were to get hit by a bus today, our total assets would be $791,625. Okay? We have liabilities too. So pause for a second. If we go over to the debt side, you're going to see that we have a car loan on my Ford Edge of $6,567. Now, the reason that I don't just pay that off is a couple things. The stock market can make more than 7% interest, so I'm not too worried about that. And then in addition, if I go over to this other side, that car is worth $20,000, right, at its cheapest, because I use the trade-in value, which is pretty low. And right now, the car loan is only $6,500. So we are positive equity in that car. We're going to keep it for another like 5-6 years. So again, I'm not worried about that. Then we have our mortgage. And so on our house, we owe $302,000. Yes, it's only at 3% interest rate. We got the house in 2021. And so I'm not paying extra on that. That would be stupid too. You can literally get more in a high yield savings account, not by much, but you can get more. And so 302 is the mortgage on the house. And then again, if we go back to over here, you can see that I'm only accounting for the cost, the asset part to be 488. So we are well positive on the house side as well. And that's really all that we got. We got no student loans. We got no credit card debt because that would be stupid. Nothing else really going on debt-wise. And so then when you take our total assets of 791 and you back off our total liabilities of 308, you would end up with our net worth, and this was at the end of May for 2025, is 482,660. Okay, doesn't really mean anything until I can get to our number to retire. Like, it's just a tracking number. That's all it is. The other thing you might have noticed is that I do record our credit scores down here, and that's just to make sure that I know what's going on with those. Okay, that is how we track our net worth. We do it every single month, but year over year is where I kind of see like how we stacking up. And so this right now, if we have one more month of like this year, because June 30 would be my next one tracking. But right now, we have 482 of net worth. You're going to see 11 months ago, if I click this tab, we had net worth of 396. So net worth went up by about, at least 80, 90 grand right now. The year before that, net worth was only 310. And the year before that, net worth was 260. So we are going in the right direction. That is what tracking your net worth is about. And that comes from tracking my spending, being meticulous, also having fun, but just understanding that, hey, like, I'm going to track this stuff. I want to see improvement. My wife and I have future goals. And that's just what I'm showing you today. So tracking spending overall, we do it on that other sheet, which I'll put in the link in the description. And then also this is how we do our net worth, and we do it yearly, but then also just update it monthly so we can be aware of what's going on. Numbers are just numbers. It's not to be braggy or anything like that. I'm just showing you how we budget and track our net worth so that we can understand what's going on and move in that right direction. I hope that's helpful to be transparent, to see stuff. I feel like money is so like hush hush, no one talks about it. I'm trying to flip the script on that, like a lot of people are, honestly, on social media. Anyway, tracking your net worth, tracking your spending, those are really important things to do. Hopefully it's helpful to see how my wife and I do it, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Chris Lee, Everyday Finance. I will see you in the next one.